What have we got? Before we look at the game, we'll just ask you what you think of David Moyes' departure from Manchester United.
Well, obviously saddened that a man who's been an outstanding manager and is an outstanding manager, obviously he lost his job, and probably in the circumstances that he lost his job. That man that has graced the management in this country and for 15 odd years has been an honest guy who's worked tirelessly at his profession to be a manager, that how he was opened up to the ridicule that he was, to be honest. I find that fascinating and sad, but I know that when he comes back he'll have a break, I'm sure, and come back and he'll be a better manager because of the experience. So but as I said, it's whatever manager it is, and especially when you're at a high profile club, it's always difficult when you see a manager lose his job. So as I said, but he's an outstanding manager, David Moyes, and a good man as well, an honest guy, and he'll come back and be better for it.
For yourselves, is Daniel Sturridge going to be fit, and how important is it that he is?
Well, we will see. We'll see. We'll give it another 24 hours. He's working hard with the medical team, so we shall see. But if he's not fit, we've coped before, we've managed before without a number of our players. We'll go into the game in confidence, and as I said, but we'll assess that over the next 24 hours.
Luis Suarez has said it's unbelievable and unexpected to be in the position you are. Those are the kind of thoughts that you would echo?
Well, I think everyone would have looked at it at the beginning of the season and saw it probably as a real challenge for us to be even in the top four. The competition at this level and the teams and obviously the money that was spent in the summer would have projected that we would have been, certainly really, really challenging to get in the top four. So to have, with 3 games to go, confirmed our place in the top 3 into the Champions League, it just really shows you the effort that our players have put in and how hard they've worked and the quality of which they've played. So as I said, that's something for us that is remarkable, really. But I'm not surprised because of how the players have worked, and how they've played consistently. So as I said, it's good for us. We just want to keep it going.
Should you win, it'd be mathematically impossible for Chelsea to win the league. So who's got more to lose?
I'm not concerned about that, really. We know it's a significant game yet again, but I think if you look over the course of the games in our last 11, there's been lots of significant games in there, that we've won. It's another big hurdle for us, but it's what it is. It's the 3 points at the end of it. I think when you get towards the finish line, people will look, you only need 7 points out of 9 and there's only 3 games to go. But our focus is very much on the next game, and it's a fantastic game. We're playing with real confidence. The run that we've been on has been incredible, but we've had to show all sorts of qualities to win those games, and they will be important for us coming into this last period. But the focus is on Chelsea, an outstanding team, and with lots of good players, world-class manager, and as I said, thankfully for us, we're playing at Anfield. We've got the great support behind us, and they'll be important.
Do you sense there could be mind games from Jose as regards his team selection? Could you ever envisage him giving up on the Premier League?
No, Jose's a winner. He won't give up. There's certainly no mind games on behalf of himself to myself, for sure. He knows me well enough to know that it wouldn't bother me one iota what anyone says or does or tries to say. I've seen some stuff written about them being a weaker team, maybe going to be played, but I think it's hugely disrespectful to some of their players. If they're deemed to be the weaker ones in the squad, I think that whatever team they'll put out, it'll cost more money than ours, and it'll be more experienced than ours. So I think, as I said, it is difficult because they've got the game in the week, and there's no doubt if they played the same team on Sunday and then the same team on Wednesday, there is a cost to that. We've seen it with Manchester City. When they played us, it was a real intense game because of the nature of our game. We worked tirelessly, we're aggressive in our attack and in our defence. And I think Manuel felt on the Wednesday when they played Sunderland, they had a real cost, and obviously they ended up drawing the game. So I'm sure Jose won't want to go down that route. But in terms of mind games, it's not something that affects me really.
You were obviously part of the Chelsea set-up in those back-to-back titles. Did being part of that sort of help you in terms of knowing how to win or to get ever nearer to the Premier League title that you are this year?
Not really, no. I was just very fortunate. I was in pole position really to be at a club that was on a real wave of success at that time. You know, outstanding players, that are outstanding manager, and I was able to, from my perspective, you know, I was preparing to be a manager, so I was able to see and look at the ideas and the ways in which it was handled at that time. So, you know, you look on it now, 10 years on. Chelsea at that time were striving to be winners. They hadn't won the league in 50 odd years. Now, 10 years on, the football club as a whole has become a club that's synonymous with winning trophies. But you have to go through that experience in order to gain that, in order to win. So for me in that time, yeah, I learned many things that being around that mentality, and as I said, but I've got a great group of players that you see are embracing. You know, people talk about the pressure, and you see our players that are really enjoying their football. I'm enjoying being at the top of the league. You know, it's absolutely wonderful. You know, there's no pressure with it. People talk about, are you not enjoying it? You must not sleep at night, and I haven't slept better. It's absolutely great. It's why we work, and I see the joy in the players and their training, and there's no anxiety. And I think, and you see last week how we played. You know, so no, it's good to be involved in. And again, the only way you get the experience is by going through it, win or lose. And whatever happens with us this season, we'll have had a brilliant season, and we'll look to sustain that and build on it again next year, wherever we finish.
Raheem seems to be getting stronger and stronger as it goes on. You talk about someone playing without pressure. He looks the epitome of that as well. It's almost the fact that he hasn't experienced this stand in his favour.
No, I just think it's his character. I think you get players like that. If they were playing in front of 5 supporters or 500,000 supporters, they'd still be the same. He's just maturing into a wonderful young man, as well as a footballer. I think I made the comment last week about, I think he's one of the best young players in European football at this moment. I didn't say it lightly or without thinking. You know, this is a 19-year-old kid who's at one of the leading clubs in the world, who's playing in the most competitive league in the world. And if you look around Europe, you look around the Premier League, you look at some of our rivals around us, there's no young players playing. You know, you go into Europe, into some of the top leagues, the French, the Spanish, you know, the German, there's not many young players playing. And he's 19, he scored 9 goals as a winger, assisting goals, and showing maturity away beyond his years. And I believe at this moment in time he's the most exciting talent in Europe. And hopefully if he can maintain that and keep working towards that, which he is doing, then we've got an outstanding young player here, hopefully for a number of years.
Your managing director suggested that you can have some money to spend in the summer, whereas I appreciate you don't like talking about specifics, so I'm not asking about those. But with the World Cup being so close, both to the end of this season, the start of the next season, do you at least know, have you got a shopping list of where you would like to spend that money?
I've read various reports. We've got 40 million, I read. Somewhere we had 70. Some said we had 60. So once they come to a figure, if they can tell me, and then I'll be able to spend it then. So, no, we've got targets. We know we need to improve her in the Champions League now, so we can say that. And we're going to need depth to our squad. You know, there's no question about that. And certainly Liverpool Football Club this summer becomes a really exciting, attractive proposition for players. And that's something that we'll continue to look at and continue to work on to get those talents into the club to help grow and develop the squad.
Brendan, it seems the whole mantra of the club going into the game last week against Norwich was "we go again" from Stephen's speech. Has that been the way of things behind the scenes going into this one again?
It's been the case the whole season. We've just tried to focus on our next game. You know, I think that these games take care of themselves really. and thankfully for us in the big games we've been outstanding. So, but as I said, we won't underestimate the opponent. You know, Chelsea got good players. They'll obviously be disappointed with their last league performance, and probably will look to rectify the games that they've lost away from home, which is, I think, have been 5. So, but for us, we'll respect them. We'll just focus just purely on this game. People already I hear talking about Crystal Palace and Newcastle, and I haven't even given it a thought. You know, this is the focus. This is big game for us, and as I said, but it's no bigger than the other ones. We need to win it. We want to win it, and we're going to fight for 3 points.
Brendan, you say you haven't slept better with the position that you find yourself in, and also that you're building on for next season as well. But after the West Brom game, you said that the team were a year, or the squad was a year ahead of itself. In a way, you touched on it, but has it exceeded your expectations for this season and next, the position that you're in now?
I think when I arrived in to here, I felt my objective was probably the first year was going to be transition. You know, it wasn't continuity. You know, we were having to restore and rebuild here what we were looking to do, and of course it's such a iconic club to be able to do that in a short period of time is obviously can be very, very difficult. But I think it shows you the one, I've got an incredible backing from the board. You know, they take huge credit, because never once, you know, as I said, it was transition my first season in. They were wanting to allow me to do my work with the freedom to do it as I want it in order to build. That's never easy when there's expectations on one of the world's greatest clubs, and then we felt that we could go on and push on this year. Has it gone better than what we've expected? Well, I'd be lying if I said that, you know, I expected us to be top of the league, but I certainly believed in the players and trusted in their qualities, and it was just really if we had a little bit of luck along the way and stay clear of injury and whatnot, then that could help us. And obviously, because of how we work and the philosophy and how we're trying to play, I believe that we could do well and certainly challenge for a top 4 position. So it's a year ahead, but we're not going to complain. We don't want to not take it. You know, we'll embrace it. It's been a brilliant season, still work to do, and we'll build accordingly in the summer and go again once the season finishes.
And with Luis Suarez, well, it's 12 months since that bite for Ivanovic and Chelsea and everything else, but obviously he's in the front running now for PFA Player of the Year, and what a 12 months he's had, becoming maybe one of the most watchable and one of the most significant players in football.
Yeah, he's brilliant talent. I think the supporters have seen him mature probably over the course of this last season or so. I think he was in a real low moment in that game. Afterwards, in the aftermath of that, he's gone away and probably looked in the mirror and reflected on himself, and because he's not that type of guy, he's a winner, and that just spilled over a little bit. But this is a real intelligent man who fits the values of this club, which is about humility and class, and he has all of that. He's just a sheer winner, and that probably just overspilled this time last year. But I think his development over the course of the last season or so has been remarkable, and both on and off the field, and obviously Liverpool has benefited from that. So he'll be rightly in the running. For me, he's an outstanding player consistently over the course of the last year. I look at Steven Gerrard being up there with him as well, because Steven's been, as a footballer, not just as a captain, as leader, but as a player, his game is really is at a real top level as well. So between the two of them, I'm sure they'll fight it out.
Do you know who's going to win it?
No.
Brendan, you talked about the intensity of your playing in so many games recently. You scored an early goal, and in a lot of cases 2 early goals. But do you have to talk and brief the players about how to approach games that might be tighter, and a bit of patience might be required? Is that something that might be difficult with these next possibly 3 tense occasions that you've got coming up?
No, we don't change. We're a team that's very aggressive in our attack. I've said it before and I'll repeat again. I believe the best teams start quick and finish strong, and I think that was an example of us last weekend. We started the game, we were 2-0 up, played some wonderful football, had a period where we had to show that determination and resilience, and by the end we finished strong and seen out the game. The game for us, of course, you have to look at the opponent's strengths, and you have to be aware that Chelsea's qualities is on the counter-attack. You know, they get fast players, they'll sit deep in a low block, men behind the ball. You've seen the game during the weekend, but at times they can press and educate the pressure on the ball. But you understand the qualities is more on the counter-attack, so you have to pay attention to that. But for us, it's about us playing our game, the opponent worrying about our strengths, and then us ensuring that we're close and are nice and compact when we haven't got the ball.
Brendan, you said you're embracing, the squad are embracing the position they're in at the moment, but were you not to win the league from this position, would that not be considered failure?
No. No chance. I think everyone's come to myself and talking about pressure, and I think pressure is if you're Manchester City or you're Chelsea and you spend that money and you expect to win the league. That's probably pressure. I don't think there's pressure on ourselves, only from what we have from within. You know, you look at Tottenham. You spend over 100 odd million, you'd expect to be challenging for the league. So it's something that, no, we will do the best that we possibly can. At this moment in time, we've been absolutely outstanding. We have a real confidence and belief in how we're playing and how we're working, and we'll just continue with that. I believe that it won't be because of pressure. We might, a bit of luck might go against us, or we can make a mistake, which can happen in football. But the players have shown continuously over the last, not just this season, but the second part of last season, that we've coped with pressure, and that's something that we will continue to do. And as I said, we'll continue to play our game.
You rightly said they cope well with the pressure, but I don't think anyone's ever been in this position where they've had so much riding on 3 games and so much you could lose in 3 games.
Yeah, then we've got next year to go again. So it's not the end of the world. You know, we want to win, of course. We're in a brilliant position, but the focus is only on Chelsea, you know, and that's a big game for us. And then after that, we'll get hopefully over that hurdle. We might clip the hurdle, but as long as we get over it, it's important. And then we'll take the next one, and the next one after that will be Crystal Palace, is a difficult game again. So, but we must enjoy it. We're not going to not enjoy it. This is brilliant. You know, we're the top of the most competitive league in the world. The city has a real vibe, and there's a real feel and excitement around it. The supporters are loving it. You know, I think we're showing the real scale of the club. You know, it's been brilliant for me to see the growth of the club, and in this period now we've been doing well because the sheer size of this club then comes to the fore, and we really want to help the supporters dream by making their dreams happen. But that's something that we know we can only do by performing well, and the consequence of that is hopefully winning games.
Cheers, Brandon.